What's up, y'all? YouTube, what's happening? If you're watching on Instagram, meet me on YouTube. We're going to be doing this live for an hour, live Q&A, where I just sit with you guys for an hour. We talk about some real estate. We talk about everything when it comes to real estate and entrepreneurship in general. Just ask me whatever you want to ask. I do a lot of Q&A questions on Instagram. Now I'm doing it on YouTube once a week. So if you're on Instagram watching right now, head on over to YouTube, join everybody else over there. And if you're on YouTube, drop where you're from right now, and do me a favor, hit the like button and share this stream with somebody, please. We're gonna wait till we get about, how many people do we want in the chat before we start, Dave? How many people we want?
76.
How many people do we want before we start?
Ooh, about 150. About 150.
All right, cool. We're gonna about 150. So if you guys can head over to YouTube. We're going to be doing live Q&A. Make a comment for me, Matt, on Instagram so I can pin it live on YouTube. Go check it out. Charlotte's in the house. Denver's in the house. Charlotte's always in the house. Durham is in the house. Las Vegas, Colorado. Man, say from Baltimore and Miami, squatted up. Maryland. Murfreesboro, Tennessee. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait until we get 150 people live on the YouTube, and then we're gonna kick it off. So do me a favor, please like this, share the stream, make that algorithm go crazy on YouTube so we can get as many people as we can on this stream. And once we do that, I'll erase this crazy art by Matt here. We live, baby. We're gonna go do some Q&A, so get your questions ready. Queuing them up.
Almost at 90.
Somebody's in Charlotte by way of St. Louis. New York is in the house. What's up, Don, Janet, Tony Lewis, Joe, Sylvia from Chicago, Sean from Nova. All right, Instagram. I'm about to log off. Meet me on YouTube. Meet me on YouTube. All right, what's up, YouTube? Let's get it. Let's go get it going tonight. I want to do a full hour of Q&A just for you guys. Today is Wednesday, the 1st of the month. You know what that means. Rent is due, and I hope you got some passive income properties. If not, starting out in wholesaling is the best way to learn how to identify a deal and then move on to acquiring your own rental properties. Whether we do it sub-2, whether we do it from, just buying it cash because you're going to be rolling the money because you know how to get deals. Somebody's from Paris. Shout out to Paris. He says, James, I got you. My bad. Philly in the house. James, what's up? No, I want no Philly coming after me, all right? I got you, James. How many people were at Invest Fest this past weekend in Atlanta? That place was a movie, so shout out to EYL if you weren't there. Make sure you get there next year. It was so refreshing to see 4,000 people packed into that place. Some big doers are on there doing their thing. It was just a good vibe the whole weekend. I appreciate everybody who came out to the EYL Invest Fest. If you haven't been there, you know what it is. What's up, Ryan Harper? My guy from Texas. El Paso's in the place. Remember, we're going to start doing the Q&A once we get 150. Once my producer says, yo, you got 150, we want to start doing Q&A. So get your questions ready, guys. And listen, if you're here right now, you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'm mad. I'm going to get mad. I'm going to get mad. So, V, I'm going to answer your question as soon as we get ready. We're going to get 150 people. 150. It's Wednesday. Yo, what's your guys' favorite day of the week? Like, what's your favorite day of the week? Like a day you look forward to, when it hits that day, you're like, yes. Somebody says we had 150. We're 150?
Yeah, we're there.
We're there. We're at 150. Thank you guys so much. Let's get this Q&A rolling. But I want to see before we get started real quick, what is your favorite day of the week? I'll tell you what my favorite day of the week is. It's Monday. And I'll tell you why it's Monday, because most of the time, the weekend, I'm just waiting to get back to work. I'm waiting for workers to get back to work. I'm waiting for contractors to get back to work. I'm waiting for the city offices to open up so I can get some things done. I just like when people are doing things. So that's my favorite day of the week. Drop your favorite day of the week, and let's do it. So let's go. I'm going to go into the Q section that my team has hooked up, and let's see what we have as far as questions. Somebody said he loves them all. Somebody said Thursday because one day closer to Friday. I'm going to change your mindset, Paul, when it comes to Friday being the best day of the week. Are all fire damaged houses a teardown? Absolutely not. And if you're interested in specializing in the fire damage niche, you need to go check out my guy, Elijah Rubin, out in Phoenix, Arizona. He's been doing fire damage properties for a long time. He's got the program down as far as like, what do you say to the insurance companies? What do you say to the homeowners? So if you are interested in particularly sticking to fire damage properties, specializing in that niche, which there is a niche. There's a lot of people make a lot of money on fire damage properties. Go check out my guy, Elijah Rubin. He's out in Phoenix, Arizona. He says, you look like a basketball player who played for the Rockets. You talking about like Chris Paul? Or what's that other guy? The point guard. The other guy, he doesn't play for him anymore. Trevor Ariza? I get that a lot, Trevor Ariza. Hey, Max, are you comping? We could comp. All right, cool. So let's get this going. We got any questions in the queue? Boom. All right, cool. All right, so my first question comes from Mr. Reyes, and the question is, what's the difference between wholesaling in New York City versus any other state? Now, let's be clear. The difference is really nothing other than its prices are going to be much higher on property. There is some rules when it comes to like attorneys, but it's nothing special. It's just how they do their closings in New York. Other than that, your prices are going to be higher, and it's a little bit tougher, to be honest. But people who specialize in New York City do make a bag. Obviously, if the prices are higher, like California, like Southern California, then your assignment fee can be higher. And so that is where some people specialize in. They don't have to go out and get as many deals, but they do close, $50,000 wholesale fees. I personally, it's not a city or a place that I would wholesale in, but I do know people who have wholesaled in there successfully and continue to wholesale there successfully. All right, cool. So this one comes from Young Rocky. Young Rocky says, how many people are on your team and their roles, and how much do you pay them? So Rocky, what I would do is I made a video probably 3 years ago called the $100,000 a month team or setup. I advise you to go look at that video. Now, the reason why I won't just like say my team, I got a lot of members on my team. I have close to 21 employees. We got 6 new employees in training. A lot of them are on the sales side of things, right? So people that are dealing with our clients that have problems that we're trying to solve. But I mean, we have a paralegal, AKA / transaction attorney. Transaction person. We also have an in-house attorney, which most shops don't have, but we decided to bring in the house just because we can control that situation and be able to close deals much faster. I have a sales manager. I have a COO who runs the day-to-day operations on things. So there's a lot, but what I would recommend you do, there's a video that I came out with probably 3 years ago, and it talks about the structure of my company. I believe it's called a $100,000 a month setup, and that's the team that you can implement in order to get that $100,000 a month setup. But here's what I would challenge people. A lot of people say, yo, what team should I get? What team members should I get? And so the basic concept behind team members is that in the beginning, you're going to be doing most of this stuff yourself. You're going to be finding data. You're going to be skip tracing. You're going to be organizing your data. You're going to be making phone calls. You're going to be going on appointments. You're going to be doing all of these things yourself. And it's important to do that because you need to learn every single aspect of the business. But here's what's very, very important. As you're doing these detailed work jobs, you want to document what you're doing, right? So if you're doing data, you need to document how you collect data, where you collect it from, where do you store it, how do you organize it, where do you get it skip trace. And the reason why you want to do this, you want to use something like Camtasia or some of these free screen recording softwares, and you want to record these and just store them on a Google Drive. The reason is because when you start to hire people, you want to have your blueprint already laid out for that person so that you can train them. Now, what a lot of people try to do is skip the work necessary in order to learn. There is no shortcut to learning this game. You're going to have to learn every single aspect of the business before you delegate out the responsibility to somebody like a VA or somebody else in your company. And the reason is, if you don't know what you're delegating out, you don't know what to actually delegate and tell a person to do. So do not delegate the position until you fully understand it yourself. Now, with that said, one of the last positions I would delegate out is the position that actually secures the bag. And what I mean by that is most of your sale processes, like if you're going on appointments, if you're closing deals over the phone, that needs to be the last thing that you sub out to somebody else. Because once that drops off, and that's a revenue generated activity, that's what you need to be actually doing yourself until you master that and be able to train somebody else to replace you in that business. But you don't want to give up that portion until you're fully confident and you have a lot of SOPs, which just means standard operation procedures when it comes to that position. So as you start to grow in your business is going to actually tell you, hey, you know, you're up all night, you're doing this, you're cleaning data, you're doing that. You need to find somebody else to do that. And so your business starts to tell you, hey, you need to be doing something else. So that's a long answer to your short question, but definitely want to check out that video that I created called, it's like the $100,000 a month team, and do that. So I hope that answered your question. Shout out to my guy, Soto, out in Middle Tennessee. He said, shout out to the team behind the camera. Guys, obviously, you know, I'm sitting here, I do this, I'm in front of the camera, but there's a team behind me that produces. You got a guy on the switcher boards, you got a guy monitoring the comments and all that type of stuff. There's a lot that goes into doing these lives, especially if you want them to look good and for me to focus on answering the questions. So shout out to my team that's doing the everything behind the scenes. My guy Soto. So Curtis West said, thoughts on 1031 exchanges. And so for people that don't know what a 1031 exchange is, it's a tax program loophole, or I don't know exactly, it's not a loophole, it's a tax strategy, essentially where a person who has a property that's going to sell a property, they're going to sell that property and they're going to take no gains from that property. So if they bought it for 100 and they sell it for 200, they're not going to take any of the gains. And the reason why they don't take any of the gains is because they don't want to pay taxes on the gains. Essentially, that person has 180 days, I believe. I haven't checked on the rule in a while. 180 days to identify a like property to invest that money into. For you as a wholesaler, it shouldn't be something that you're worried about, because that's the buyers, that's somebody else's tax strategy, has nothing to do with your business. All you know is they're selling something and you need to, or somebody's buying something, but just know that it's a strategy that wealthy people use, or people that, you know, move from deal to deal in real estate. They're basically rolling their profit into the next deal, and the government doesn't tax them on the gains because they're just rolling it into another investment. So don't really worry about that too much. So the question comes from OG's Fish Room, which I guess is probably, maybe it sounds like a restaurant or something. So if it is, shout out to OG Fish Room. It says, you think wholesaling will ever come to an end due to regulation or oversaturation? And so I get that question a lot, you know, and it comes from, the question mainly comes from a scarcity mindset, right? We all have it. We all have had it at one point in time, and it's something that we overcome. But I want you to think about something. When you're going down, you know, in some areas, in some cities, it's called like the auto mile or something like that, right? It's like there's 30 car dealerships next door to each other lined up all down the row. You would think that, hey, why are there 30 dealerships in my city? You know, why are there not just 4 or 5 where somebody can just pick up a car? It's not going to get oversaturated. Yeah, there's going to be more people coming into the field, and with more people coming into the field, there's going to be more bad apples. And with bad apples, there's going to be more reports and more people doing the wrong thing. That's going to lead to regulations based upon doing bad things. But hear me out. There's bad doctors that lose their license every day. There's attorneys that lose their bar every single day. There's realtors that lose their status and their privilege to buy and sell real estate for other people. And so there's going to be bad apples. There's going to be changes in the law. There's going to be regulations put in place. But you have to understand, every single business in America meets regulations at some point in time. Things change. As we evolve as people, there's going to be loopholes that people take advantage of that they're going to try to close up. But at the end of the day, they can never stop somebody from investing in the real estate. So take case in point, state of Illinois. They implemented something that allows you to only do one wholesaling contract a year. One, it's hard to enforce. I'm not telling you go out and break the law, but two, the remedy around that is that they recommended everybody go out and get the real estate license. And so you can get your real estate license in weeks. I mean, weeks. You can spend less than $1,000, typically $500 or less, and get your real estate license. So if that's the way that you defeat that, then you just go out and do it. And so every business comes with its regulations at some point in time. If you're actually going to be in this business for a long time and it's something that you see yourself in your future, go ahead and go around the regulation by doing whatever the remedy is for that. So don't worry about that too much at all. Hey, once I answer a question, how do I get rid of it? Oh, remove from the queue.
I'll take care of it.
Okay. Somebody, Romero, is that? Yeah, I think I said his name wrong. If I didn't, I'm sorry. I used your attorney for one of my deals. Shout out to Tammy. Yes, man. So if you're in North Carolina and you want to close a deal, since we do have an in-house closing attorney, you can use our attorney. Just look up Greystar Legal. They have a branch inside of our office that closes our deals, and I've extended the opportunity for you guys in North Carolina to close deals inside of our office too. So I'm guessing you maybe you came to the closing and you closed in our office. So if you did, kudos to you, but shout out to my team back there, Tammy. Let's go to Cornelius Hambrick. Cornelius says, any advice for one looking to get into real estate development? That's a good question, because that is where I am in my real estate career, is learning more about real estate development, starting with your smaller deals all the way up to billion-dollar deals. Now, here's how I got in. Just like how I got into anything else. I find somebody who is better at than me, and I offer them some type of value in exchange for their knowledge, right? And so we formed a group, which you might have heard, called the Elite X. It's 13 of us. We come together, we learn about development, we pool our money together when somebody in the group has a development deal. And so that's how I got into it. I got into it that way. So if you're interested in it, there's definitely programs and courses out there. My guy BRS, Brandon, is putting something out potentially soon about how to get into development and understand the intricate parts of the development. But I love development. It's naturally the next step for me, because I went from wholesaling to flipping to building to buying wholes, all that stuff. So naturally I want to do bigger projects to get a bigger piece of the chunk. It takes longer, but it also gives me bigger ownership at the end. So find somebody that you can do it. So let's go to JDW Falcons with his question. I've been consistent with my marketing. I'm taking no days off for a year straight, but I'm still struggling. And so JD, what I would say about that is, if you're doing something wrong for a year, you're still going to get no results. So you need to retool, refocus, scrap what you've kind of learned or what kind of marketing you're doing, and find somebody, follow somebody, or just buy into a program. For example, I have a course that gets people to consistently get 3 to 5 deals every single month. It's called One Deal Away. If you want to join that, it's less than $500. It's one deal, maxandnas.com. Go there, sign up. Or you can find one person on YouTube or a couple people on YouTube or podcast and follow every word that they say. Now, make sure this person's actually doing deals. and follow what they're saying, follow their methods, and don't jump from marketing to marketing to marketing to marketing. The reality is most people that are watching this only need to do one deal a month to change their entire life. When I started out, my first check was $14,000. If I consistently just did $14,000 deals once a month, that would put me in a higher tax bracket. That would have changed my life. And that's all most people need. You could do this on the side. So the reality is you need to find out how to do one deal. Once you figure out how to do one deal, you can scale at that point. And so don't compare your business to people you see on Instagram. Don't compare your business, to my business. You need to focus on how do I get one deal? How do I solve one problem a month to get, a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 check? Because that type of money, most people in America only make $43,000 a year. And so if you're making $10,000+ a month on the side, you're going to be in the top echelon of earners in America. So focus on actually going out there and solving one problem, creating one deal. If you need step-by-step instructions, which some people learn that way, and that's why Nas and I put out that course. If you need step-by-step instructions, maxandnas.com. Join the community. It's a group of us. It's less than $500. If you can't afford that, study real hard on YouTube, but only follow one or two people. Listen to podcasts religiously. Become obsessed with becoming successful, and I promise you'll get there. I think I already answered a question from Curtis West, didn't I? So I just want to keep him in there. I just want to make sure. OKC Black Eats. Have you ever used a EDA grant to acquire commercial real estate? I don't know what that is, so the answer is no. Remember this, a good deal never searches for money. Money always searches for a good deal. So learn how to identify a deal, and you can buy commercial real estate with none of your own money. You can become partners with somebody that has the cash. I don't really know too much about grants in general. I know that they're highly sought after. It's very competitive, and I think you got to write a lot of stuff, and writing's not my strong suit, so I definitely wouldn't be one searching for a grant. So let's talk about this. Jawanda Counts. Jawanda Counts says, anyone, how do I get a proof of funds letter for the buyer to accept your offer? So here's what I will say. Don't go online and use a fake proof of funds. It's called bank fraud because you're just using something that doesn't belong to you. What you should do, if you have a deal, you need to be able to partner with buyer. You need to make a relationship with buyer. And if a buyer is going to use you or use your company to help find deals, then you need to go out there and you need to ask them to provide a proof of funds for the deal. And be honest with them. Hey, look, I got a deal in the pipeline. I need a proof of funds letter in order to get it locked up. Will you send over a proof of funds so I can get this deal locked up? And a lot of people like to do some deceiving things when there's no reason to do anything deceiving at all. So be honest with your buyers group. Find somebody in there that just says, hey, look, I got a good deal. I just need to get under contract, but they're asking for proof of funds. If you can get a proof of funds from your buyer, then you're good. Don't go online and get a fake one because that's considered bank fraud. Let's see. Crazy and fun. I'm just going to call you Crazy. All right? So your name's Crazy today. It's Crazy and fun, funny stuff. So crazy and funny stuff. Would you buy and hold multifamily like 20+ units? Typically, yes, I would. You should. You got to learn how to structure those deals. If you don't have all the money, you got to learn how to go into like creative financing where the owner carries the note or something like that. Or you could wholesale the deal and learn along the way if you've identified a true deal and you can lock it up at a great price. So typically, my answer is yes. I would do that for sure. Mustache Mike, have your tools for wholesaling changed? My tools for wholesaling, not really. I pretty much keep a consistent base of what I'm using. You don't need a Driving for Dollars app. If you're out on the street, which I recommend if you're a beginner, something that you do. It's also good, if you can deploy other people out there to do it if you have a larger company. Second is you're going to need to go out there and find, like I use Propstream, right? You can go get it at maxpropertydata.com. I talk about it. So the answer is no. My tools haven't really changed. So what changes is who I go after marketing wise, right? Depending on what's happening in the economy, what's going on local in my community. It depends who we focus our attention to when it comes to marketing. So let's see here. V said, can you use your local title company when virtually wholesaling? No. You need to find a title company or an attorney, if it's an attorney state, in that state that you're using. Attorneys can't work across multiple states unless they have license in multiple states. Closing companies typically don't work across state lines because each one's different. And you got to be very knowledgeable of those state rules. So the answer is no. Did that stay popped up there?
On screen?
Yeah.
So we're having issues right now with the titles.
So none of them are popping over?
None of them have popped up.
Okay. Because I'm pushing it and then the green's coming off. So I don't know if that's because Dave's in there too.
Oh yeah, as you get toward the end, I'm removing it.
Yeah. All right, so let's keep pushing.
We'll have that fixed for next year.
So this is a question from Black Lion Authority. Is Propstream the best software when getting ready to start wholesaling? It's one of the most robust softwares out there. It does a lot. It's good for your data. It's good for pulling lists. It's all under 97 bucks. But I wouldn't give somebody that advice that this is what you do. I do have a completely free course that shows you how to use Propstream. So before you even go buy Propstream, understand what it is. And most of the time you can't buy a product without using it or seeing how it works. So in the description of any one of my videos, you can go click on the free training. Watch that. It's like 4 modules on exactly how to use Propstream. I call it Max's 4 golden rules. Use that. And then once you get comfortable watching those videos and understanding what Propstream does, then use the link in it, Max Property Data, sign up for a 7-day free trial, and use those tactics I showed you in that free training. It's the exact blueprint how to go out and get a deal. Like, I can't make it any simpler. You don't even have to go out and buy a course. You don't have to go out and do any of these. You literally get the free training on how to use Propstream called Max 4 Golden Rules. The link is in any one of the videos that I have. Then once you're comfortable, then use the 7-day free trial. Go out and actually use the module step by step. And I think what happens is, people sometimes either want to take shortcuts, or sometimes people don't want to go out and do the work necessary to understand what you're getting yourself into. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm going to spend $100 on Propstream, $97 a month, I'm going to make sure I know 100% of all its functions. Now, typically what most people do is they go out, and because somebody said or I said that Propstream is the best software that you need to use in order for it's like the nucleus of your wholesaling business, you go out, you buy the software, you don't study it, you don't understand what it does, and then, then you're blaming the software for the lack of you not getting a deal. So you personally need to go into Propstream. Like, let me pull this up here so that you guys know exactly where to go. Let me pull up the actual. Let's see here. Where is Google Chrome? All right, so you're going to go to Max. It's real simple. After you get done, you're going to go to Propstream. Is this popped up on the, is the screen? Gonna go here, fill it out, do your 7-day free trial. But before you do that, you need to go, I can pull up one of my YouTube videos here, can I? I'm just gonna pop in here because I wanna show you guys that it truly is a free course on how to use Propstream. This is important. Don't want to do that one. Oh, it took me to the app. That's pretty cool, but not.
Is Jay, Bill, and Ron, and they've collected hundreds of thousands of dollars.
All right, go away. What I really want to show you is, where's it at? Is it not in there? Matt?
What do you want?
My free.
No, it's called Flip It Upside Down on the thumbnail with Burton.
What?
You're talking about that?
Where is the link for my?
Yeah, so it's under, go to your videos, go back to your channel,
I'm here.
and then it's like the fifth video. It's flipping with the
Never mind.
upside down.
Never mind.
Yeah, oh, it's in that. I'm saying it's in that description.
All right, so go to that video with Burton and I, and you definitely want to, I didn't want to do this. Go back to that video. In the description, you're gonna find the link for it. Use the training because it's 100% free. It's there for you. There's no gimmicks. There's nothing on top of that. So cool. Let's go to Super Chat real quick. King KY. Could these deal source methods also be applied to finding distressed businesses? I don't believe so. I don't know how that would work. I've never tried that. Because we have real estate data, not business data, so I'm not 100% sure. All right, I get this question quite a bit. Let's do this. Low Key says, can you wholesale a deal with a mortgage on it? It's a good question. So let's go to our handy board here. Can you wholesale a deal with a mortgage on it? Of course you can. Right? So let's talk about why. This is Matt's drawings. Thanks, Matt. I'm going to switch over to this board so you guys can see what I'm doing here soon. What is this? I just got to delete something. Let's grab a new board. Let's just grab a new board. All right, so let's pull this up. Pull the screen up for me. We have this one up?
Yep.
All right, cool. So let's say a property is ARV. Oh, that's, I think I'm gonna punch Matt in the mouth. You guys open for me to punch Matt in the mouth? It's like when you leave home and your kid messes with your favorite, like your computer or something, and you come back, it's all messed up, and then they say they didn't mess with it. That's Matt. All right, so let's say you got an ARV on a property, right? We all know what the ARV is. The ARV is the after repair value, and I'm just gonna keep it simple. I wanna say it's worth $100,000, right? And so this is just simple math. The ARV is 100,000, and then we're just gonna do simple math, minus 30%. Let's just say we can get it under contract. The guy wants to sell it for, let's say maximum allowable offer equals, let's just say it's 50,000, right? After repairs and all that stuff. And so on properties, you're gonna have like liens. And so what you're saying is a mortgage is a lien. So the $50,000 is owed on the house, but let's say the mortgage equals 25,000, right? And so essentially when you go to closing, the mortgage is going to be subtracted from here, and the seller is going to get $25,000 at closing, because that's what the difference between what he owes and what your maximum allowable offer is. Now let's just say the maximum allowable offer is still 50, but the mortgage is 62,000. Right? So the most you can pay for this property is 50 grand, but the mortgage is 62. What happens? There is a deficit of $12,000. Right? So there's $12,000 in here that, sorry, let me write this again. There's $12,000 that needs to be come up. So if the max you can pay is only 50, but the guy owes 62, the only way this deal can be done as a wholesale deal is that the buyer, the seller, has to bring $12,000 to closing. It's happened. The likelihood is not. He's going to at least want payoff, and this is what you call payoff. And so when you get into deals like these, maybe there's something else you can do besides wholesaling. Now, typically, you can do a subject to, or creative financing or seller financing, where the seller's going to carry some of that. Now, we won't get into that today, because a subject to will take me a whole hour to explain that. So don't worry about that part. But that's the basis of, can you wholesale a deal with a mortgage on the property? The short answer is yes, you can definitely wholesale a house that has a mortgage on it, as long as the mortgage is less than your maximum allowable offer. If the mortgage is more, then there's a deficit on the house, right? And the seller's either going to have to bring money to the table to get out of it, which has happened, or you're going to need to do some type of creative financing, which are some of my favorite deals out there ever. I hope that answered your question. All right, so Ashley has a question. Says, hey, Max, sometimes I can't pull large lists. I understand that, right? Because sometimes your lists are niche. Most of the time I pull a list or less than 300. Do I still have a chance of getting a deal? Do you still have a chance of getting a deal? Absolutely. Is your chances lower? Yes, because you're pulling less data. And so it's this real simple math problem. If somebody's pulling more data and making more phone calls, they have a high probability of getting more deals than you. Now, there's a caveat to that may change that outcome, that if your deal is highly focused, right? So if you have taken a deal, and you have taken a list and you started to niche it down, right? So you got different filters on top of this list. And what we mean by filters is each one is pain points. Now, I want you to remember, you got to go back and watch that free training that I put out there. If you do that, then you might have a smaller list, and that list may be very, very focused to a very, very hyper problem. And at that case, you may get more deals out of that list. But if you're just pulling an absentee list and it's only 300, the likelihood of you getting a deal versus me pulling a list of 30,000 or 10,000, I may get more deals just because I got more numbers to start with. I hope that makes sense. Looking for some questions here. I'll do this one. Curtis West said, do you see a crash in the market in the next 18 months? I can't predict that, but here's the cool thing. I did a video called The Cycles of Real Estate, and you need to watch that video if you're worried about if you're worried about a crash, or if you're worried about anything else. Just search Max Maxwell, The Cycles of Real Estate. I hope you guys are taking notes. Now, the reason why this video is important, because it shows that real estate is reciprocal, and it goes up and down. It goes like in a circle. And so if you understand that, and you understand these upcoming cycles and the cycle that you're currently in, then you can make money on any market, the down market, the up market. And the reality is most successful real estate investors in the last 20 years have made most of their money in a down market. Now, what I mean by that is when in the 2008, 2009 financial crash, a lot of people bought properties for pennies on the dollar, 30, 40, 20 cents on the dollar. And that's because they were liquid. They saw the opportunity. They waited. Now, think about this. If you bought properties, and I use this round number, $100,000 property worth $100,000, and you bought it for $30,000 in decent condition, and you held those properties from 2010 to right now, 2021, 10, 11-year wait time. Right now, properties are at the highest of the high. So that property that you bought 10 years ago really is probably worth $150,000 now. And so you bought a property for $30,000 that's now worth $150,000. What do you think those people that bought a lot of property in the last cycle crash, what do you think they're doing with their properties now? They're dumping them. And the reason why they dump them is to become liquid, to either level up and buy higher real estate creatively, or to wait for the next crash. And they're going to do the same thing over and over again. And a lot of companies do these. Or they buy properties in the crash and they sit on them and rent them out. And so during the next crash, whenever it is, it could be 18 months, it could be 18 years. I have no idea. If I knew, I would be a billionaire instantly. But when the next crash happens, you need to make relationships with people who are buy and hold people, because that is when they have been waiting. They've been salivating at the mouth, waiting for a crash or a correction, a very large correction, in order for them to pick up more properties. And they're the other cash buyers that you're going to want to deal with. All right, cool. It's a good question. Man of Valor says, can you wholesale a house that really doesn't require repairs and make a profit? Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason is if you're able to find a house that's a deal, right? If you're able to use the formula and find a house that's a deal, then you're going to be able to make sense. So let's jump back up to the whiteboard just to show you this, right? And I'm using these formulas that I'm showing you are really not formulas that we'll work with today, but it just makes it easier for me to explain what's going on. So if you have a house with an ARV of 100,000, I keep using that number, but let's just say you got 100,000. Right? And say you're going to minus 30% in whatever market you're in. That's going to leave you $70,000, right? So if the house needed no repairs, this is a great deal. So if you got a buy and hold guy, or even if you got a guy that flips house, if you can get him a $100,000 house for 70 grand and it needs no repairs, I can flip that house, right? Because typically what you do on a wholesale deal is you're going to minus the repairs. Let's just say the repairs are $20,000. Right? That's going to be a $50,000. Now you're at $50,000. So now, sorry, that's when you get this $50,000. You're at 50 now. Now think about this 50. If there's no wholesaler involved and I'm a flipper, Maxwell's flipping this house, $50,000, paying $50,000 for this house, that is worth, that with $20,000 repairs is a great deal because I'm going to be able to make the repairs, get it 70 all in, and sell it for 100. I'm going to make my money. But since you're a wholesaler, you're probably going to want to make a fee, right? Just say $5,000. Right? And so your maximum allowed offer on this is going to be $45,000 because you're going to make a fee of $5,000. So you need to get it at 45. But if the house needed zero repairs, if the house needed zero repairs, it's going to go like this. Repairs equal 0. That's going to bring me down to 70 again. And if you want to sell it to a flipper, you're going to want to make a fee, right? $10,000 or something. Now your maximum allowable offer is going to be 60. And the reason why is because there's no repairs needed. The house is ready to go, on the market. It needs nothing. Now, have I ever found a house that needs no repairs? Absolutely not. It's going to need something, paint, something, you know what I mean? But the question is absolutely you can make a profit from a house that does not need any repairs. Santiago Gonzalez says, when you purchase a subject to property, which I haven't talked about it that much, I get the question a lot, so I may do a whole Q&A about sub-twos only. Santiago says, when you purchase a house subject to, do you buy it under LLC or do you use a trust? I personally have it in a trust that is owned by an LLC. And so I hope that answers the question that may have went over some people's heads, but don't worry about it, because if you're not at that stage of wholesaling or learning about creative financing, don't worry about it. You'll get there. Get a couple deals under your belt, and then we'll learn about that. So Ann says, have you ever put thought into purchasing large retail that is discounted due to COVID and renovate it into commercial multifamily? It is a strategy for some developers right now. I think it's been a strategy for a while, even including like taking old warehouse buildings and turning them into multifamily. It's not my personal strategy. I like to build from the ground up when it comes to development. But yes, it is definitely a strategy for some investors out there. They love it. They do it. It's just not part of my personally, but I know it does work. So Sim says, what's your thoughts on long-term impact of iBuyers overpaying for houses today? So iBuyers are somewhat overpaying for houses. Now, this is my theory on what iBuyers are doing. iBuyers are what you call, in any business that is new, any business concept, you have what they call an education phase. And so they have to educate the consumer that this is okay, right? So take Carvana, for example. Carvana had to train people that it's okay to not go to a car lot, to search for a car online, which we know that most people start their car search online, buy the car without ever seeing it, because we're going to give you some of this ridiculous guarantee that, hey, if you don't like it in the next 30 days, we'll take it back. And so they had to go through this training, their customer period, where they were learning that it was the new normal. So I believe that iBuyers are doing the same, and in order to do so, they're overpaying for homes. They're backed by Wall Street money, so profit in the beginning is not that important. Very similar to how Facebook wasn't profitable for a very long time. Uber, I believe, is still not profitable right now because they're backed by Wall Street money. They're doing what they call a loss leader product. Their loss leader product is acquiring properties and selling them. But I think, and this is my gut feeling, I think that at the end of the day, and I've seen this trend, is that the iBuyers really want to get into the mortgage business. And so they're at the end of buying your home, they're also going to turn around and offer you a mortgage on buying your new property. I've seen it done already. Selling money is a lot easier than selling property. And so that's what I think they're doing. The long-term effects on it, I don't think it's going to last long. And at the end of the day, they can never do, an iBuyer can never do what my team does when it comes to building relationships with people in our community, in our city, going to a house and building those relationships. They just can't beat us. They never will be able to. Jay Rush has a question about probate. I got a probate deal that I've been waiting on the court to close for a year. Is this normal, and is there a way to speed up this process? In some counties, unfortunately, it is very, very normal. If you're out west, could be one. If you're up north, can be one. In the south, we have a pretty fast process as long as all the documents and the executors are in order. So yes, things can take a long time, but sometimes you just got to wait it out. There's nothing really you can do to speed the process up unless the documents have not been properly submitted so that the process can go along its normal time track. So I hope that answers your question. So Kevin has a question, and he says, when cold calling prospective sellers and they don't answer the phone after multiple attempts, when should you move on to a different form of market? or marketing maybe. So I have a system called the Conveyor Belt. Look up one of my videos called Maxwell Conveyor Belt, and it'll show you our marketing process on how we move our customers along our conveyor belt. And our conveyor belt, each section of our conveyor belt that this lead stops on is a different type of marketing. And so I'll sum it up real quickly. You gotta put yourself, so a lot of people overthink by underthinking these, they underthink by overthinking these strategies to marketing. So if you look at myself, if you wanted to buy one of my properties that I have vacant, right? And you send a piece of mail in the mailbox, I'm not gonna read it. I don't check my mail. All my bills are online, so on and so forth. If you call me from an unknown number, the likelihood of me picking up is very slim. I don't pick up unknown phone calls. I don't even have my voicemail set up, so you can't leave me a voicemail, and if I did, I would never check them. I wait till they get full, and then I just do that. Now, if you text me, I might pick up. I mean, I might read the text. That doesn't mean I'm gonna respond, but I might read it. And so you have to think of yourself in these lines of how to market to people. Now, some people could be different. Some people check their mailbox every single day. Some people answer every single phone call that comes to their phone. Francis does that. He picks up every single phone call. You know, and some people don't even look at their text messages. I see some people that got 600 red bubbles on their iPhone when it comes to text messaging. So you got to understand that customers need to be reached in the way that they want to be reached. You can't force upon them your marketing strategy. So I hope that helps, but I do a video talking about the Maxwell Conveyor Belt. Check it out. It has a lot of information on there. Randy says, hey, Max, I purchased your course. Are you planning to offer virtual wholesale in that course? I'm from New York, and I think I would have. Hey, Randy, thanks for purchasing the course. And if you did, you will see that there's a section in there that is about virtual wholesaling. Now, here's what I will say about virtual wholesaling. It is just a term that somebody used to sell you a course. Virtual wholesaling is exactly the same as wholesaling in your backyard. The only difference is you're not the one physically visiting the property. And most of the time, we don't even physically visiting properties now these days anyways. You're going to be using services, and a lot of those services that you're going to be using because you're not in the city are listed inside the course. So the process for virtual wholesaling and the process for wholesaling are exactly the same. The only difference is it's not in your city. You're not going to be visiting the property yourself if you do visit properties in your own city. And you're going to be using third-party services to go take pictures. You're going to be using DocuSign, which we DocuSign all of our contracts, even though it's in our backyard now anyways. So the reality is virtual wholesaling and wholesaling in your backyard is no different. It's just a marketing term somebody created so they can sell your product. We got about 5 minutes left, y'all, so stick with me. How many, let me see, how many leads, this question comes from David Gamble. How many leads were in your CRM before you started to see 1 to 2 deals consistently every month? So here's the thing, we don't put leads in our CRM. We only put prospective clients that we've spoken to inside of our CRM. But there is some type of formula to finding deals consistently. You need to be calling and speaking to people every single day. If you're not doing that, you're not going to be finding deals. So it's important that you go out and speak to people every single day. My sales team, whether they're in the Philippines or in their office, they have to speak to people every single day, because if you can't speak to people, you can't find out their problem, you can't solve their problem, and you can't make offers. And this business is all about making offers. So my question to that is, how many offers do you need to be making in order to consistently get deals 1 to 2 a month? Remove from queue. All right, we got about 3 minutes left, and something that I really, really want to talk about before we get done is, I talked about this on the stage at InvestFest. And InvestFest was an awesome event for everybody that went there in Atlanta this weekend. It was cool. Shout out to the guys at EYL for putting on such a dope event. Now, what I will say is that I feel like a lot of people are trying to shortcut the process of becoming great at whatever it is they're doing. And since we're talking about wholesaling, I feel like that's important, right? So people are trying to shortcut the process of becoming an expert at what they're doing. Now, what that means is now you don't have to be an expert to get started, but you should strive to become an expert at anything and everything you do, right? Or just don't do it. And so you may start at the beginning. Everybody starts at the beginning. I started at the beginning 6 years ago. Some of you guys are starting at the beginning right now. So my point is don't try to skip the process. You have to really be obsessed with this new thing you're trying to learn. You can't casually jump in this and think you're going to be getting 3 to 5 deals, making $50, $60, $100,000 a month. You really need to absorb and just every living, waking moment of something new that you're trying to learn, you're going to learn it. When I started to learn how to fly a plane, I was going to that airport every single day, whether I was flying the plane, whether I was just hanging at the FBO around other pilots, or whether I was doing ground school studying. I was there every day. And the reason why is I became obsessed with the idea of learning how to fly. When I found out about wholesaling, I locked myself in a room for 3 weeks. Literally, I didn't go anywhere. And I got out of there and I started applying the things I learned in 3 weeks. Was I perfect? No. Was I a beginner? Absolutely. Did I mess up? Absolutely. But I made $14,000 on my first deal. But I became obsessed with that. And I became obsessed with learning more and more and more. And so you don't wake up one day and just become great at something. You have to practice it. You have to do it. You have to breathe it. You have to eat it. You have to sleep it. And if you get to that point and you don't slack or cut yourself short or not put in the work that you need to get where you want to go, then you too will become successful. Now, successful could be whatever it is that you want to do. Maybe you enjoy spending more time with your family than you do working. And maybe one deal every month or every other month is suffice for you to define yourself as being successful. Do that. But don't half-ass the attempt to get into something if you're not willing to put in the all. And I see so many people go into many different things and they don't want to put in the work. There is no shortcut to success. It's going to suck. You're going to fall. You're going to bleed. As long as you get up and keep going, you're going to be fine. Everybody that you look at today that is great has went through trials and tribulations of getting to this point where you see them now. Even myself, I have my own struggles daily, but I never give up. So don't give up. Become obsessed with becoming successful. Just study this. Study it and don't let up. Because once you let up, somebody else is going to lap you. And you're going to start blaming your lack of success on everybody else except for yourself. So go out there and do it, because I'm a high school graduate with barely a 2.0, first generation American, dyslexic, black dude in America. If I can do it, you can do it too. So I appreciate you guys jumping in on this stream. I'm going to be doing it every single week. I can't wait to move into my new studio so I can start dropping more content and all that stuff. But I'm telling you what, when we start dropping more content, it's going to be my duty to make sure you guys are successful in this. And so I appreciate you guys. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a like on this. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and share this video with somebody else. And come back and keep watching this content. Go watch some of my old stuff when I was just terribly hungry and was setting up the business. Go watch some of that. It may motivate you to go out and do the same. So I appreciate you guys. I'll see you next week. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram if you're not. Peace. I'm out.